Alright, time for the ultimate experiment.
I don't know, looks pretty dangerous, Mr. Code.
I fear nothing! Besides, it's a simulation. Nothing ever goes wrong with this simulation. Now to solve a question that has plagued generations of philosophers. What happens when you step on an area with a stay off the grass sign nearby?
I can't watch. The suspense is killing me.
For science! Huh, well, that was anticlimactic. What the? Hey, what's going on? Well, that was weird. Sends you to a giant cornfield. Which is just silly. I mean, how does that make any sense? Oh, for the love of... Alright, that's it. I'm done. I'm putting my hoof down.
Mr. Code.
Son of a... Curse you, science! We now come to Arc 2 of the comics, the Rarity arc, and begin the comic actual with Twilight having a nightmare running from the mysterious nightmare fog. In fact, it turns out the rest of the main six have also been experiencing similar nightmares as well. But luckily, Pinkie Pie has the perfect solution.
Fucking asshole! Haha, you said ass!
Unfortunately, though, the nightmare fog penetrates their minds and we see the rest of the group's nightmares and essentially greatest fears. It's interesting the writers also include this bit of continuity with Twilight's greatest fear, which sets up her nightmare vision of disappointing Celestia from the Crystal Empire. Rainbow Dash does get pretty hard in her nightmare, a grounded Pegasus unable to perform the stable of her race, and in turn can't join the Wonderbolts. Though Rarity is hit the hardest, however, as we see Twilight besmirch a gift she made out of the generosity of her heart, and all of her friends abandoning her. This is an excellent setup for Rarity's corruption into Nightmarity. The fog then steals away Rarity into the night, vanishing to the moon. As Spike copes with his loss of his love, the group contacts Celestia, who almost immediately shows up with Luna, who exposits about her original corruption into Nightmare Moon, and the main six defeating her, but only temporarily it seems, as the entity merely left Luna and has been dormant ever since, waiting for the new moon as a gateway. This brings up some interesting points. One being this implies that the equestrian solar system moves independently from Luna's control outside of raising it every single night. Along with that, the moon phases must take longer to change, as the new moon will only take approximately 25 to 30 days to reach that rotation and would have opened the gate long ago. Also, choosing the new moon phase makes sense as the moon is complete, but covered entirely in shadow from the sun's illumination. A perfect foreshadowing backdrop for the return of the nightmare forces and the time to attack when the least light is possible. And why are you staring at me like that?
Are you quite finished?
I regret nothing, my good sir. Anyway, Luna reveals that the Nightmare Forces want to build their own kingdom, and Ponyville will be their target. And this is a subtly powerful image here that shows Luna still holding fear to the possibility of her at that throne, which shows how vulnerable our Protector of Dreams is to. As the main six go to rescue Rarity, we end issue 5 with as we see the Nightmare Forces harassing the Fashionista. On to issue 6, where we see the group jumping into action. The plan is to enchant a lasso, rope the moon, and drag it down to Equestria, no doubt creating massive tidal waves across the planet and destroying all coastal civilizations. This is ludicrously awesome. Naturally, I feel compelled to completely analyze everything wrong with this minor plot point. 1. The planet's gravity would make the moon easier to pull to Earth. 2. How can the rope manage the tension from the moon's massive weight, yet snap easily upon an even armored Spike stepping on it? And 3. There's no air in space. That last one's kind of important.
Mr. Code, please leave the science to Professor Nate in the future.
Shut up. Moving on. After the group defies all logic and lands on the moon, we see the lead nightmare entity Shadowframe with his short-sighted assistant attempting to bring Rarity to the dark side. It was at this point I figured that Twilight would be the optimal choice the Nightmare Forces would choose, as she is the most powerful. But seeing as the nightmares attracted to the most vulnerable in fear, going back to Rarity's earlier nightmare, and prior history, it makes sense that they chose her. Rarity undoubtedly has one of the more stressful jobs, constantly making dresses under duress. Drawing a parallel from her nightmare to Suited for Success, Rarity creates dresses out of the generosity of her hard work, putting long hours of work into a gift her friends didn't fully appreciate, filled her with anxiety and grief. This prior event, compounded by her stress from the lack of sleep and capture and desire to help others, makes sense for Rarity given to the Nightmare Force's deceit. The group is then besieged by the nightmare corrupted creatures of the moon, and the dark mist befalls them, trapping them all once more into their darkest nightmares. And don't you just hate when that happens? You get to the top of the tower, fighting all the monsters along the way, just to be trapped in the realm of the Fade, and you gotta free yourself and all your companions from their nightmares before the big baddie kills you. I hate Tuesdays. Anyway, after freeing everyone, Shadowfright attempts to corrupt Luna using the fear of her memories as Nightmare Moon and threatening Main 6 to persuade her, but the group rallies to her and issue 6 ends with the reveal of Rarity, whose design is absolutely stunning from her starry mane and cutie mark, and of course the trademark reptilian eyes. Yet despite her more darker, intimidating complexion, Rarity still displays the same level of personality, wit, and sarcasm of her normal self, and applies that cunning almost immediately to turn Luna once again. I initially questioned the tactic, seeing as Shadowfright essentially tried the same thing not 5 minutes ago, but the intimidation factor increases due to the fact that Nightmare Moon incarnate is essentially standing right before her, a ghost of the past looking her in the face, if you will. After a brief confrontation, the Main 6 are captured, Spike is tossed away, and Luna reluctantly leaves, going to prepare with Ponyville's defenses. Nightmare then exposits her reasons for choosing Rarity, not only reaffirming the early points of her giving into the nightmare, but also sets up her future excessive generosity, most notably Rarity takes Manhattan. Spike attempts to rescue, but inadvertently falls to the nightmare fog, or in this case, dream fog, as Nightmare uses the illusion of happiness and Spike's fantasies of marrying Rarity to join her, which is even more devious than a nightmare, as she has taken his most desired dream, taunts it before his eyes, just to have it shattered before him in a fog of deception. Which says a lot for Spike's character here, throwing away the one chance he may have of being with Rarity forever, and chose heartbreaking reality over the illusion of false happiness. Spike is then captured, and we roll into the final issue where the poor dragon still can't catch a break, as the symbol of his love is literally destroyed before his eyes. Jeez, I can see the PTSD rolling in already. Meanwhile, the Main 6 attempt an escape.
Simmons, come over here. Help me chew on this wall. We can eat our way out.
Then Pinky reveals that she had the key to their cells only right now and escape. Meanwhile, the Nightmare forces descend upon Ponyville, and the town and Nightmare forces clash in a short but epic and humorous battle. Finally, Luna's inner conflict comes to a close, letting go her burdens of her past transgressions and fears, finally able to rally to fight Rarity, along with the Main 6. The light of friendship is unable to penetrate Rarity alone, but the light of friendship, combined with her friends reminding her of how her generosity has helped each of the Main 6, nullifies the entity within her, and the nightmare is completely banished. Rarity returns to normal, and peaceful times reign once again in Ponyville and for the inhabitants of the moon. This was another excellent story. I love the inner conflicts with Luna and Rarity, and their journey of redemption leading to a climactic emotional ending. The scale is much more larger than the previous arc, going to the moon, and essentially a battle for all of Equestria, making the adventure much more epic. We got new world building with the moon and its inhabitants, and of course, Rarity was just awesome as an intimidating yet witty antagonist. Next time we're gonna go for a little bit of slice of life with Zen and the art of gazebo repair with our favorite red stallion. Till next time, MasterCode. Oh man.